Hello everyone. Today we'll talk about optional chaining. First, let's look at our class person. It has a property of integer called age and another property residence. If we create a variable me, and me is an optional of person, we can take the things out of the optional by using the unwrap sign, which is the exclamation mark. So me exclamation mark dot age will return the age. There's one problem with this kind of statement. If me is nil, this statement will crash. So this is kind of unsafe if we are not sure if me is nil or not. A safer way to do this is first check if me is not nil, then we do the unwrapping of me. Because this kind of code will happen so often, Swift provides a shortcut to do exactly that. The shortcut is me dot age. This statement returns an optional, and if me is nil, it will return nil. If me is not nil, it returns the age inside me. So if you look at the result, it's an optional of an integer, versus me exclamation mark dot age returns an integer. So this kind of statement is both succinct and safe. Also note that person has a property called residence, which is also an optional, which means we can do the same kind of unwrapping for this variable. So we can do me dot residence dot number of rooms. And it will return nil if me is nil or residence is nil. Otherwise, it will return an optional that contains the number of rooms. This is called optional chaining because we are chaining multiple optionals in one statement. Imagine if we don't have this kind of support, we have to first check if me is not nil, and then check if residence is not nil, and then we can get the number of rooms, which can be very verbose. And because this kind of statement returns an optional, we can use it with optional binding. Just as a review how optional binding works, if let num equal to me dot residence dot number of rooms, then we can use the num, and note that num is not an optional. Anytime you create an optional, you can use that optional for optional chaining. So here we have another example. We have a class person2, and person2 has a function build home that returns an optional. Person2 also has a subscript which also returns an optional, and because both of them are returning optional, we can use them for optional chaining. Here we have a p, which is a person2 optional, and then we can do p dot building home . Note that building home is a function that returns an optional, and then dot number of rooms. We can also do p home, which is a subscript that returns an optional, dot number of rooms. So this is how optional chaining can be used with functions and subscripts. And as we said, anytime you are dealing with optional, you can use optional chaining. And one of the most common places where optional is used is with dictionary. Here is an example of dictionary D, which is a dictionary of string to a person, and then we can do dbob, which is an optional, dot residence dot number of rooms. And then we create another dictionary, D2, which uses the previous dictionary D as its value and the string as its key. And then we can do D2 dummy, bob, dot residence, dot number of rooms. So as you see, optional chaining can be very handy when you are dealing with dictionaries. It can save you a lot of if and else statements. Thank you for watching. Feel free to download the notes from my website and practice with it. See you next time.